It's a Thursday. This is Fresh Music Fun. And Nancy Wilson, together with the band who call themselves Heart. Fresh Music. I didn't want to need you at 2XSFM.
Lady, I never gave my heart to anyone.
Grab a pen. Okay, here we go. AJS 800 810 AJS 800 810 worth to you, my friend, $350.
When you're a skier, all you want to do is ski.
When you're a skier,
You want a
all you
set
want
of
to do
wheels that will
is
get you up
ski.
any mountain and feel good doing it.
This Saturday at the BBW Helmet Party, rain to K Street from 10 o'clock.
We're actually
And
getting
remember,
quite a few
cool
people
kids, great
joining
legs.
in. This is quite... And they haven't left.
It's 8 to 3. G'day, we have Rich Springfield for you next. Meanwhile, though, the Community News Switchboard, the guest speaker at the
Who was that
Palmerston North
guy?
Lunch
That-
Club's meeting tomorrow is Nikki Sheed on nutrition in later life. That's at 11:45 at the Manawatu Club. The band, The Real McCoy, who
We've got
play
to
at the
hear the
Armada
kids
Bar
voices out
in the
there.
Quality Inn, need a bass player and a drummer for 3 nights a week. It's a residency and vocals are preferred. There's Housey on at the RSA club rooms on Saturday at 8. Everyone welcome there. And don't forget the Duty Motel for Wanganui is the Sports Lodge Motel on 46351. And that is Community News brought to you by Pack and Save, open 5 late nights and all day on Saturday, Ferguson Street, Palmerston North. If you'd like some details, you can call us 84069 8 to 3 now.
Okay. Let's just stop that. Let's get back here. Welcome, Robert.
Hello, Sean. I'm on at 7 o'clock. This is peak time. I'm quite excited.
Welcome to the crazy show. Gee, so good to have you here. I know I always say this, and I always say, oh, but this person's such a good friend. But Robert is one of my very, very, very best friends in the whole wide world. So I'm so happy that you've agreed to be a guest on this silly little show. Can you believe it? And so, yeah, I've known Robert since I think about 1987, 1988.
That'd be right. You came along then with your blue shoes at 2XS as the copywriter. Yep.
And I was very, very, very shy. And Robert took me under his wing from day one, and we've been amazing friends since. And that's a great thing about our industry, about radio, about media, is you just meet fantastic people in your life. But anyway, we've got quite a few people tuning in tonight, Robert. I hope you're really, really nervous.
I've only got 3 minutes. Can we make it quick?
3 minutes. Let's talk about welcome and thanks, Robert, for doing this. So, Robert Scott, if you're on another planet, is one of New Zealand's best broadcasters. He's had a really stellar career in both TV and radio. He's a great musician. He has been successful in New Zealand and in the UK as well as a broadcaster. And I thought we'd catch up with him today and just hear a bit. He's going to surprise me with a few fun stories that he reckons I haven't heard about. So that's going to be cool. And he's currently the #1 drive announcer in New Zealand, working for the Breeze Network. So for those of you who aren't too good with the lingo, drive is basically, drive is the drive home. Okay, and you've got the radio on. It's that shift. Of course, most of us are at home, but he's rating through the roof anyway. He's a fantastic guy. So, Robert, tell us how it all started. What drew you to radio?
Our family came out from the UK in the mid-70s, and in England there was no such thing as local radio. And so when I arrived in Palmerston North in 74, all of a sudden I was aware of this station called 2ZA, and everybody listened to 2ZA. And there was this wonderful broadcaster on 2ZA called Audrey Green, no longer with us. Bless her soul. She was just the most amazing communicator. And I thought, I like that. And of course, I've always loved music as well. So the two kind of came together. I would take my bike into town and see this guy behind the glass, or perhaps someone like Audrey, read dedications and introduce records and having the time of their life. And I thought to myself, this is what I want to do. It wasn't, once again, about necessarily being on the radio. It was the fact that it had the connection with the music, which I loved so much. So from about the age of 10, I knew, Sean, that was going to be me.
Awesome. So how did it all sort of start as far as, because you had a great career at 2XS, how did that all get underway?
2 years before that, I managed to get this promo job. I was 15. For 2ZA, and I was this Captain Fantastic character. That's what they call me. And I was riding around Palmy on a chopper bike with tights and a cap with Elton John antennas on the top and massive glasses, and I looked like a freak. And I would go into shops and do advertising crosses live, and I was absolutely terrible. But they paid me a huge amount of money. I got $14 an hour, and I did that for 2 weeks during the school holidays. So I was flush. And so that was my first introduction to being on air. And as I said, I was pretty ropey. But 2XS came about. I took some speech lessons in the 7th form. My speech teacher knew John Hogan. And so it was a case of not what you know, but who you know. And it took a bit of badgering for me to get a tape across to Jeremy Miller's desk, who was the program director at the time. And then there was David Parlane was unwell on the 5th of January at midnight, and I got the call the previous day, Jeremy saying, "You're on. You've got 4 hours to get your stuff together. You're on."
Wow.
Just like that. And once again, horrific. I was terrible. Can't listen to that tape.
Really?
Oh, it's just a kid trying to be a DJ. I had a 6-pack of the Guess Who. I'd never even heard of the Guess Who, and I was playing records.
Can you explain to the viewers what the 6-pack was?
6 in a row from the same artist, which actually, if you look at it now, is quite flawed. If someone hates the Guess Who, they're out.
Yeah. No, do you know there's 2 people that I could easily say in radio and 30 plus years of radio, where if I was walking along the street and say I had a 10-minute walk, I know would actually turn into a half an hour walk because they were going to get stopped by everyone. One is Ronnie Phillips, who was massive in the Waikato. And if you walk along the street with Ronnie Phillips, it's a long walk because people stop and go, "G'day, Ronnie, how you doing?" And you were the same in Palmerston North. And you know, like I was this young kid, would walk along Broadway to go and get a sandwich or something together, and everyone would go, "Hi, Robert, how you doing?" And you're always so kind to everybody. You always made everybody feel, even at a very young age, you understood that hey, they're part of the community, and yeah, it's quite impressive.
That's interesting because I spoke at the radio school that Larry Somerville runs recently, and he brought that up, the fact that I'd had this background playing in bands and amateur theatre, and I wasn't afraid to get up on stage and show off because I'm a Leo. That's what comes with the territory. And he said doing stuff like that and the blue light discos I was hosting really brought my profile high in Palmerston North. So I guess that's the reason why you think that maybe happened. I can't recall it happening, but in hindsight, it's a possibility. Yeah.
It's a possibility. I tell you, it definitely happened. It happened all the time. Those blue light discos, I forgot about that. They were massive, weren't they?
Huge.
Did they go all around the country or just in Palmy?
I think the nucleus started at Palmerston North and they spread. So they were so popular. For those that don't know, the Cops ran a very safe disco on a Friday night every month, and we'd get about 1,500 kids turn up. That was my audience at night, just there in front of me. And I used to record them and play the back on the Monday, you know. So it was amazing. I didn't realise how powerful at the time it really was.
Tell me some fun stories from those 2XS days, because I'm very, very proud to be able to say that I worked at that radio station. For those of you that aren't sort of in the, aren't radio people necessarily, 2XS was a station where, everybody wanted to work in Auckland because Auckland was where it was at, hot market, great radio stations, but 2XS in Palmerston North, and I think this kind of annoyed some people in Auckland in the radio industry. 2XS was regarded as a pretty amazing radio station. We had great people there. We had innovative people there. We had people like you, like Roger Clamp, like Roger Beaumont, Larry Somerville, innovators that were kind of ahead of Auckland in many respects. Would that be fair, or am I...
Jeremy Corbett has a very good theory because
Jeremy Corbett was there.
Corbett, yeah. So we've talked about this. He thinks that in Palmerston North, people accept you going through your ugly duckling stage.
Right.
So you can make your mistakes. You don't have to be perfect, but you give it a go. And then you can hone your craft, whether it be radio, whether it be theatre, whether it be playing in a band or something like that. So Palmerston North can be quite unforgiving. And then when you're ready, you might take the next step to a slightly bigger stage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What are some of your fond memories of 2XS?
I just think it was a crazy time. Great people, breaking rules. For example, I used to, in this band I was in, when I was doing Midnight to Dawns, we used to record demos in the production studio without anyone knowing. I'd have a raft of musicians floating around at 3 o'clock in the morning smoking cigarettes, taking notos. And then we'd mix down the original song that we just recorded, and I'd play it on air, and no one knew. And to this day, I don't think anyone would have cared either. You know,
Roger Beaumont, who is a very good friend of ours, and he's had an amazing career. That guy, hasn't he? He has just said, "Tight, bright, and real, please, boys."
Okay, sorry, sure.
Hey. He's just said, "Tight, bright, and real, please, boys."
Let's just talk about Roger Beaumont for a second. Let's just turn the ship around. Is that okay?
Yes.
Great story. He was promotions manager at one stage, and he'd shifted a van load of furniture from Levin back to Palmerston North in the 2XS van. You know where I'm going with this fast, don't you? And he hit a piece of gravel at the end of this long stretch of back road and skidded and thought, oh, I'm okay. It sort of came to a halt. Then the furniture shifted and the van tipped sideways on its side. And I was in the studio when I got the RT call from Fast Roger Beaumont, now head of all banking, saying that he's on his side and could someone come and help him, please. So that's the Roger Beaumont story. Thank you very much. Good night.
I tell you what, he was incredible at marketing and promos, and he'd get so excited, and you'd be just pumped about the latest promo before it even started, because he would say, "This is what we're doing. This is what we're going to be doing," and you'd be going, "Far out, that's cool." And then you'd hear that promo voiced by the late J.R. Nelson. We had this guy, we were talking about this the other day, who's passed away in America, and he had this amazing voice. And I can remember Roger Beaumont doing this incredible promo. And if you can imagine this heavily processed American voice going, "And then you're off to see the big mouse." It was like in Disneyland. And it was like, my God, this is all happening in Palmerston North. I mean, it was amazing times, wasn't it?
It really was. And Roger's still one of my great friends today. It's funny, I look back at the nucleus of people that we were together with in Palmerston North, the likes of yourself, the likes of Dominic Harvey, Roger Beaumont, Jeremy Corbett, John Hogan, Noel McIntosh, David Parlane, all these people, Steve Houston, you could just, Sue Foley, you could wrap them off. There is this thing that still exists and will always exist,
Yeah. No, you're right. Okay, so from 2XS, I can remember you then got headhunted and went to Auckland, of course, and those were busy times for you because you were at 91 FM under Larry School, of course, and but then you also had Yahoo happening on 3, so you're a busy guy.
Three.
Okay.
3 people used to watch it.
Talk us through those times.
So I'd done 7 years of 2XS and got the call up from Larry and Roger Clamp. Can't forget Roger. How did I miss him out of that list? I love Roger dearly. And so Roger was the program director, and Brent Harbour was leaving to be PD of Coastline, and got this job. And apparently 14 other cassettes were sent up. It was a highly sought after job. It was 91 FM back in those days, bearing in mind there was only a handful of radio stations in Auckland, was the most listened to radio station in the country. The Cume was 220,000 people. So I was shitting myself. And so I was doing driving the station. And then at the same time, once again, I managed to get an audition for Yahoo because Phil Kogan was leaving, and because the theory was we looked quite similar, I got the job. It was live, it was crazy. I was pretty average, but so I did about a year and a half of almost 2 years of doing these 2 jobs, and I was working 7 days a week because I used to work on Sundays on 91 FM, and I was burnt out. Despite the fact that it was everything I'd wanted, I was actually not overly happy and missed Palmerston North dreadfully. In fact, spent so much money flying back to Palmerston North for the weekend, or flying up female company for the weekend. That sounded really bad, but
yes, I do remember that. But anyway, and I remember you had the BMW as well. The book was blue Beamer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was done with my money because I was doing 2 or 3 jobs, including a countdown called the Coke Shake 30. I was making good money, and so the first thing I bought was a BMW because I thought I needed one.
That's right. That's what you
did.
Thank God you met Carmel, because I don't even want to think. Yeah.
Yep. Good point.
So can you shed some light on those days at 91 FM, because there was real radio battles between 91 FM and 89 FM. It was like the two giants just going like this. That was an awesome time, wasn't it? Really, very
good. And the breakfast show was really good. It was Kim Adamson and Mark Stauffer and Jeremy Corbett was producing. And I remember hearing it, and they did these characters, Deacon McAllister and Brian from Birkenheaddale, and it was just absolutely a complete riot. It was just very, very slickly done. Yeah, good lineup of people. Viv Lee was on the station as well. You know, there were good people, and everything was larger than life compared to what I was used to in Palmerston North. The promo budgets were massive. So it was 91 FM, billboards everywhere. There was a plane, there was a helicopter, there was a boat. It was huge. At one stage, they even had the logo on apples. Do you remember that?
I remember that. remember. I think there was a bit of a fallout over that, but yeah,
Because the
I
apples
remember.
went off after a while.
I can remember Larry flying me up to Auckland, and there was an agreement between me and Steve Rowe to access that I wouldn't sign a contract as I went up there. And I went up there, Larry picked me up, and I'll never forget this. There were billboards everywhere. It looked like 91 FM land. Buses. Those were really competitive times, eh? It was just
And
full on.
the premises in Byron Avenue on the 91st floor, and
Yeah.
at that stage there was only one high-rise in Takapuna. You could see well over the bridge back into the city. And the studio was in the corner. And it was just, oh, God. Once I actually found it quite overwhelming. I found Auckland overwhelming. These are the days when there was no GPS. I had a massive map, and I found it too. I was homesick for Palmerston North big time. Even though it was all over wanted, all of a sudden they got it and went, oh, my God, this is too much.
But 91 FM, that was a great environment because it was a hell of a lot of fun. I mean, I can remember being with Trevor Plant and Nigel Corbett, an advertising crew, and we would just be on drums most of the time. And occasionally, we better write some ads, boys, laughing away. And then you'd have Mark Stauffer or Jeremy Corbett, who always, and this is because they're great people, they always looked out for the little guy. So Jeremy, and it's like you've always been like this in your life too, always looking out for someone who's coming through, and like they would pop in and go, how are you boys going? And they'd have a bit of a giggle and then wander off, just great guys, eh?
Yeah, really good. Jeremy is a lovely person. I've known him since I was 13 at Boys High. And I recall he had an electric guitar on the stage, and he was playing football, and I went to ask him. He was a seventh former, and I said, oh, can I play your guitar? And he goes, yeah, sure. And I'll never forget that kindness. And to this day, he's still a very, very kind person. Once again, straight out of Palmy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So 91 FM, tell us about the Yahoo days.
Yahoo was described by a very harsh TV critic as being a failed telephone. We had no budget. It was very messy. Myself and Moana, and kids would get brought in and do silly games. And what I was very proud about with Yahoo was all the bands that would come in. Like we saw Supergroove when they were 16, and OMC came in when they were very, very small. There was Paulie and a whole lot of other guys, including Matty J. But every week they'd bring in new acts that wouldn't get any other TV on any other show, and Yahoo was known for that. And to this day, I'm still proud of that.
I think what's amazing these days is that, someone like you gets the ability to do effectively TV and radio every day, don't you? Because you shoot a lot of video, a lot of parodies. You seem like unrestrained on how much stuff you can do. So it must be a really incredible creative outlet these days on what you can actually do, because you do a lot of video, don't you?
Yeah, I love it. And I managed to combine my love for music with the technology, with the radio. So I really feel very, very lucky in the sense that I've ended up at a place after a long, long time of being able to use all those things and to also to use the technology to broadcast it. Yeah, so you're right. I mean, this stuff's amazing, this technology, eh? But you've got to learn it. You've got to keep learning it. You can't get off and go, oh, that's too tough. For us older guys, initially it's hard to learn, but you've got to keep up with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, and I think this is something, once again, for friends of mine that are tuning in, I think some people think, and I know it sounds silly to radio broadcasters, but they think announcers turn up, they do their 4 hours, maybe, and then they leave. But how much, we call it prep, which is obviously short for preparation. How many hours would you prepare each day for a 4-hour shift, say?
At least 2, but of course you're always thinking, you're always jotting down ideas. So I might put an idea on my phone and I might come back to it in 3 weeks' time and go, oh, I can flesh that out and do something. But when I look at people who influenced me when it came to prep, Mike West, amazing, right? When he came back to Palmerston North in 1990 and took 2XS to #1 with the help of Steve Rowe and Vaughan Hobbs, I looked back at West and went, okay, that's the way you do it. That's the work ethic you need. And the second person is Dominic Harvey. Now, he won't be watching because he's probably doing an influencing post or something like that right now. He'd be too busy.
No, he is watching.
Hello, Dominic. I love you. And Dominic, who is probably right now rolling his money like Scrooge McDuck.
Oh, I love it.
Dominic also, basically, he is the son of Mike West, the son that Mike West never had, right? So he took a lot of what Mike taught us and brought it to the big stage. And I'm very proud of what he's done. And I've also learned as well from what he's done. You know what I mean?
You know, Mike West is, well, for a start, Mike West is a breakfast show announcer at 2XS, well, More FM now in Palmerston North. He would be one of our finest broadcasters that this country's ever produced. And not a lot of people know that because he is exclusively in Palmerston North. But I think you're right. What he is great at is, when I worked there, is that he has natural leadership skills. You actually want to work for Mike.
Yeah.
You know, you want to, and I think Dominic picked up on that. You just go, this guy is great. This is my son walking behind me, Ben. Say hello, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
15, legend. And he, you know, you just want to, and it's not like, he's one of these guys who never does the rah, 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 let's go, let's do it. He leads by his actions. And so if you're kind of part of that team, you want to do great work, you know?
Yeah, and the way he would package things up and deliver them, he'd take time, you know? It used to be a case of rip, shit and bust, tell a joke off some joke prep site from the States, and here's Madonna on 2XS. He would actually, there'd be a lot of preparation, a lot of pre-recording, and a lot of planning. And his execution was always perfect, you know?
Before we head on to breakfast at Classic Hits, Roger Clamp, pretty damn good. Would have taught you a lot over the years.
He is an absolute survivor.
Yeah.
You know? He was my flatmate back in the day, my PD on several occasions. He now is talent managing at MediaWorks, doing a very fine job. And also, you know what he's really good at? And that's talent coaching. When Robert and I were working together, Robert Rackety and I were working together, he turned our show around. He helped us so much because he's a great listener. He's very constructive, but he's always positive.
Yeah. No, I was sort of breakfast show coach of Jeremy, Kim, and Corbett. Kim and Corbett, Hillary, and I was so out of my depth because these guys are brilliant, and I would try and coach them, but at the end of the day, they were just bloody amazing. And then go and have a chat to Roger, and Roger would just go, but what about this, 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 and this? Just automatically. He just, very good coach, eh?
But he's got a good heart as well, you know, but he can be tough. There's you know, I mean, there's great balance with Roger.
But you need that, don't you? You do.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk through Classic Hits.
Yep. So what happened was 91 FM, it became The Breeze on 91 for about 4 years, and I was doing breakfast with Jackie Tucker. They purchased, TRN purchased Prime Media, and that was turned into ZM. So I did drive on ZM for a wee while, and then they brought Jackie and I back on Classic Hits Breakfast, which I did for 2 years, and then off to the UK.
And then you went to the UK. So tell us through, talk us through UK.
That was good fun. Worked with Jana Rangooni initially, and I worked in Reading. And I always wanted to go back and find out what I was. Was I a Kiwi? Was I English? And I was lucky enough to be in Reading and broadcasting just down the road to where I was born, Farnborough. And so that was 3 years, and I worked with a fella called Guy Harris, who was very creative. He probably could have been the next Chris Evans, just very good with sound and editing. and ideas. And so once again, I sat back and learned from this dude. So 3 years there, and 4 winters, horrible winters, and we decided to come home after 9/11. Not long after 9/11, we came back. And it was a case of our our daughter Molly had been born. She was a baby. We didn't want to bring our kids up in the UK. We thought, let's just come home to clean green Aotearoa, and we did, and it was a great choice.
And apparently, an amazing broadcaster hired you for a job when you came back. Who was that?
I've lost contact with him. When I see pictures of him recently, he's got so much older. His name's Sean O'Neill.
No, they were good times. I mean, it was like Solid Gold. I mean, I'm really proud that we worked at Solid Gold. It's not to the same degree as 2XS because that is really close to my heart. But Solid Gold, working with Blackie, Tony A,
Mac.
These are all bloody big legends,
We did a photo shoot. Do you remember that? We were all wearing afros, and
oh my god, did we?
Slightly, if you look at it now, it's like, would you do it now? But the thing was, I was the last one to use the afro, and it was all itchy by the time I got to it because all these old bastards had on their heads. But we put the picture together as like it looked like we were all wearing afros. Like I know.
You did drive, and no, you did nights, but you were also on shift on More FM, weren't you?
Yeah. So nights was voice tracked, and I was doing 10 to 2. More FM because the Breeze was going to be launching at some stage down the track, but we didn't have a frequency.
Yeah. Okay. Breeze.
Yeah. Been a great journey. Been really good since 2006. Started as the station that was really on as a spoiler in Auckland, but since then, Zane's just texted us. G'day, Zane.
Zane.
Yeah. So, yes, the breeze started on the smell of an oily rag and grew and grew and grew. And in the last 3 years with Will Macy and Christian Boston, we're amazed as to how well it's gone. We're grateful. Great bunch of people. Everyone gets on so well. Yeah. It feels like a radio station. Sometimes you work with people, it doesn't feel like a radio station. This feels like a radio station. And to be fair, there's only a few of us. So there's about 8 of us that work in Auckland, and then you've got the sites down the country. All up, I'd say 15 people run the Breeze. And at the moment, you've got the highest Cumavetti commercial station in the country. I'm grateful.
Isn't it right, when we look back, it's funny when we look back, like, how many people would have been just at 2XS in Palmerston North? Would there have been 20 people, or is that overstating?
Oh, right. Yeah, I'd say upwards of 30 would run a radio station, I
was going to say that. And now you've got less than that running the network throughout the country, really.
You get someone like Chris Edwards who can do everything, and perhaps he needs to do less because I look at him and go, boy, you just work so hard, man. But you get these people who are multitaskers and very good at what they do. And everyone's on the same, they've all got to the stage in their lives where they're older. There's less bullshit. There's no egos on the station. We just get on and get on with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I have noticed this running Essential Talent. And I say this to my friends who aren't in the industry, that the funny thing is that the more successful people are, the more down to earth I find that they are to deal with. Do you know what I mean? Like the higher up they are as far as fame, they've got the energy for a reason because they're actually very down to earth people. Like I had to have a conversation with someone the other day about something. Hey, this client wasn't happy or whatever. And they're just like, hey, no problem. Just fix it. Like, what do we need to do? It's just like, no ego. You know what I mean?
You've got to be real, right? And there's just no, it's only New Zealand as well, Sean. That's the thing.
You're right.
We shouldn't get carried away with ourselves.
Yeah. What would you say? What would your advice be to a young broadcaster starting off, like you did in your journey? I know it's a different journey, but starting off in media or in radio, or TV? What would you say to them?
Don't be afraid to learn. I think for me, I noticed the biggest change in what I was doing is when I found mentors. And a couple come to mind. First up, Dave Marnie, who moved to Palmerston North. A bit of background, Dave used to do The Tonight Show on the RNZ network, Breakfast on Radio Windy with Paul Holmes, had a TV show called Mainly Marnie in the early 80s. I knew who he was, and I knew he was a big deal. And he came to see the band play at the Royal Tavern and said, you know what, I think you've got potential, but how about we get together from time to time and I can build on what you do. And so I used to go around there every week on a Tuesday at 11 o'clock, smoke his cigarettes and drink his beer. And he would go over my tapes of my show and just suggest little things I could do to make the boat go faster. And I look back at what Dave Marnie helped me do, and I'm very grateful. Secondly, James Daniels. Right, he came to Palmerston North very briefly in between ZM Christchurch and C93. We went out for lunch, the Cobb & Co, and he said, play your guitar on the radio. I do. It'll set you apart from other people. So, long story short, don't be afraid to ask for help and ask for ideas, because that's how you learn. You won't evolve unless you keep asking and are thirsty for knowledge all the way through. Like Sean, come back here. You've learned it. What you're doing here, right? You know, what's called StreamYard. This is something I never thought you'd do. And you do these nightly shows, some of which are good.
Some of which you encouraged me to do it, and that's what a great friendship is about. You know.
But I think that during this time, I mean, I've watched a lot of your stuff, and it's fun. You've connected everybody. You know, it's great. But I'm saying that you're an old dog that's learned new tricks as well. You know.
Yeah. Not that old.
But that's my point.
Hey, why don't you tell people the story, my favourite story, because I always get it wrong, about Cobb & Co. Because remember because the thing is, and I know it's a very personal story between the two of us, but the thing is, I'll put it this way. If someone did this today, they would have to be fired. They would have to be. You'd have to at least give them. No, I think they'd be fired instantly. So why don't you know the story I mean. Why don't you talk us through it?
The station just printed lots of new bumper stickers, and you were in charge, I think, of writing the promos for them. And it was relatively late at night at the Cobb & Co. God bless the Cobb. And we came up with this concept of me pretending to have a sticker over my mouth and try and voice an advert. And we thought this is so brilliant. So I would be going, and you would say, what he's trying to say is that you need a car sticker. And I had a car sticker on my mouth. We went back to the station. Well, midnight. It was midnight, back at the radio station. You know, of course, the midnight to dawn, I didn't care. We recorded this 30-second advert, drunk as skunks, and put it on the radio.
Speak for yourself. Yeah.
Put it on the radio, and we heard it the next day. Oh, my God, that ad's on. That ad is on. And it only played 2 or 3 times because we were both clearly inebriated.
Yes.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do that now.
But, you know, the thing is, and this is the bizarre thing, we didn't get in that much. We didn't get in trouble over it.
No.
We didn't get in trouble over of putting it on there. I think my memory, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think Roger Clamp just said, what is this? What's going on here? And we said, oh, we had a few beers and we'd recorded this thing. He said, no, it's not very good. I think he took it off, didn't he?
You and I got in trouble once. We went to this restaurant in Margaret Street, and it was a contra deal. And I was so naive. And the next day, I reeled off all the things we ate, not realizing that was paying for our meal. Roger Clamp wasn't happy with that at all. No.
Was that you and I?
Yeah, totally. I was so naive to what Contra was, but it turned out that I was given this place a free plug. The fact that you and I had been out for dinner and listed, it was listed off the grazing menu. Yeah,
I do remember that.
Yeah,
it's coming back to me now. Anyway,
my wife is FaceTiming me. Hang on a second. This is going to.
Sorry, Roger Clamp.
Sorry, yep, sorry. Bigger name on the other line.
So you're taking the call?
Oh my God, I've got all this text from people. Hang on a second.
Oh, really?
Oh, it seems that people are watching your show.
I know people do. They do what they come back and they watch later.
I think so.
No, they come back and watch later. I usually get about maybe 150 views, like organic views.
That's
You
cool.
know, you can't even get 150. You're not even legally allowed to get 150 people together. So that's not
Well, like
bad.
I said, I'm honoured to be on a prime time. We've probably taken some viewers off Seven Sharp and the project. I don't know. Maybe
know
they're
what?
both worried.
I know you so well that I knew you were about to say that. You know what? Probably, and I just knew what was coming. It was great. Is there anything else you want to share with the group before we wrap this up?
Oh, is this live?
Eh?
This is live.
Yeah, it is live. Is there anything else? Any other great stories you want to share, or anything that we've left out before you go?
No, not really. No, that's about it. It's been a pleasure. It's been kind of weird. I'm normally the one that does the interviewing.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Hey, but Robert, all I can say, I'll wrap it up, is that. Oh, hang on. Is this from Dominic, or is that old? What's he said?
Oh dear.
He said, "I'm going to set up a fundraiser to get Sean artwork for the wall, and maybe a light bulb."
Yeah.
It's a bit harsh. I like the. Okay.
That's good.
I'll tell you what, Otis Frizzell, name dropping.
Yep.
Love that guy. I just need to put the artwork up. I've actually got his artwork. He's a bloody genius.
Well, when you get it up, let's do the interview again.
Love you, Robert. I enjoyed. It's from Rob Mackay.
Oh, Rob, he's another great man.
Roger Farrelly is watching. So we've
Is
got
he? Oh, now I'm nervous.
Murray Tom is watching.
Oh, that's another big name.
Carmel Murphy. That is the biggest name out of the whole lot. And yeah,
How come she's tried to FaceTime me when she's watching me?
you're so lucky that. I mean, I tell people that you're the Peter Pan of radio, but that woman is like the Peter Pan of women. She's and such, and such a beautiful heart. I love that girl. She's lovely. Okay. Well, Phil Madsen. No, there's a few of the Brad King, Belinda Henley. So we get all the Roger Beaumont. We get all the big names tuning in.
I'm very honoured.
No, don't you worry about that, Robert Scott. Hey, Robert, congrats on your stellar career so far. You're the #1 drive announcer in the country. You always work. Banjo's barking. You always You always work so hard on your craft, which I really respect. But most importantly of all, you are such a beautiful, loyal friend, and I love you for that. You are just one of my greatest friends, and I'm so lucky to have you in my life. So thank you, my friend. And thank you for 42 minutes and 37 seconds tonight.
Likewise, Sean. Love you too, brother. Thank you very much. You're doing great work with this. This is brilliant.
Thank you.
All
See
right.
you. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.